Have you ever scrolled through your feed, seen a jaw-dropping tech rumor, and just thought, no way, that can't possibly be real? Or can it?
Oh, definitely. Happens all the time, especially with big tech launches.
Well, today, you and I are diving headfirst into one of those very rumors. It's about the absolutely wild claims circulating about Apple's upcoming A19 Pro chip.
Right, the ones that sounded almost too good to be true.
Exactly. We've heard whispers of over 80% improvement in multi-core performance over its predecessor, the A18 Pro.
And even claims it would, what was it, trounce the M4, which is Apple's desktop class chip.
Yeah, trounce the M4. That sounds pretty incredible, doesn't it?
It really does. Almost unbelievable, frankly.
So our mission in this deep dive is to take you through a stack of sources we've gathered. We've got analytical reviews, some industry leaks, hard benchmark data.
The whole gamut.
Right. And we want to extract the most important nuggets of knowledge and insight from all this.
Basically cut through the hype.
Exactly. We want to help you understand what's really going on with the A19 Pro, debunk the misinformation, and set some, accurate expectations.
Sounds like a plan. Because those numbers were eye-popping.
So as we get started, what have you heard about these dramatic claims, and what immediately stands out to you as either exciting or maybe a bit questionable?
Well, what stands out to me right away is just how quickly these kinds of sensational numbers can take hold and spread like wildfire online.
Mm-hmm.
And the origin of these specific claims, the really exaggerated ones, seems to trace back to what's been pretty widely described as a dodgy screenshot doing the rounds.
Ah, the classic dodgy screenshot leak.
Indeed, this screenshot supposedly showed GeekBench 6 scores for the A19 Pro. It claimed a single-core score of 4,783.
Okay.
And a multi-core performance of 15,324. Now, for those maybe less familiar, GeekBench is just a standard tool, a benchmark test. Helps us compare raw chip performance.
Right, it gives us a number to compare different CPUs and GPUs.
Exactly. Yeah. And the story going with this screenshot was an astounding 41.6% increase in single-core and a massive 82% jump in multi-core compared to the A18 Pro.
82%, wow.
Yeah. And it even claimed boldly that the A19 Pro would trounce the M4 in both single and multi-threaded tests.
Okay, let's definitely unpack this, because when those claims first popped up, I immediately thought, wait a minute, something feels off here. What's the most glaring red flag in that screenshot that just screams fake, even before you dig into the numbers themselves?
Oh, absolutely. The dead giveaway is right there in plain sight.
Yeah.
It cites iOS 27 as the operating system.
iOS 27.
Yeah. Now, anyone following Apple knows their release cycle, the iPhone 17 series, which is where we expect the A19 Pro, that's slated for September 2025.
Right, fall 2025.
And following Apple's usual rhythm, that new iPhone lineup would absolutely debut with iOS 26.
Which they'd announce in June 2025 at WWDC.
Precisely. So this inconsistency, pointing to an OS 2 generations ahead of what's expected, it just unequivocally points to fabrication.
It shows a real lack of basic homework, doesn't it?
It really does. It shows the person making it up didn't even grasp the basics of Apple's product cycle.
So it's like finding a typo in the signature of a forged painting. It just unravels the whole thing.
Exactly. And beyond that sort of almost comical error, there's the performance claim itself. An unprecedented generational leap.
Yeah, that 80% number.
Apple's history, their trajectory of chip improvements, it's been remarkably consistent. We see year-over-year gains, typically, in the range of 15% to maybe 30% for CPU and GPU.
15 to 30%, that's the typical ballpark.
Right, so at 80% multi-core improvement or even that 41.6% single-core jump, it's just never happened in Apple's history.
Never.
Honestly, if Apple managed an 80% leap generation over generation, the engineers would probably deserve Nobel Prizes, not just, a pat on the back.
True.
A leap like that would need some kind of revolutionary change in architecture or manufacturing that just isn't on the cards right now for the A19 Pro, based on everything we know.
And it's not just the numbers or the OS, right? There's also the timing of this supposed leak. What does the usual timeline for real benchmark results tell us?
That's another crucial point. Legitimate GeekBench results for new Apple devices. They typically do not come out before Apple's new smartphone series is announced.
So not until after the September launch event, usually.
Generally, yes, or perhaps very close to it from review units. So for detailed benchmark scores to suddenly appear months and months in advance for a launch that's over a year away, well, you should be extremely skeptical.
It's like reading reviews for a movie that hasn't even finished filming.
Precisely. The timing is just all wrong.
Okay, so to properly evaluate any future claims about the A19 Pro, or even just understand where Apple is heading, We need that baseline.
Exactly.
And the current standard for Apple's mobile chips is the A18 Pro. That's the one powering the iPhone 16 Pro and Pro Max, which launched September 2024.
Correct. That's our benchmark for today's top-tier mobile performance from Apple.
So remind us, what are the key specs and the verified performance for the A18 Pro? What should we keep in mind?
Okay, so the A18 Pro, it's manufactured using TSMC's second-generation 3nm process. That's called N3E.
N3E, got it.
And for those less familiar, 3nm is about the tiny size of the transistors. Smaller generally means more power or better efficiency because you can pack more in. N3E is sort of a refinement of that initial 3nm tech.
And more transistors packed in there.
Roughly 18 billion transistors on the A18 Pro. Its CPU is a 6-core setup, 2 high-performance cores running up to about 4.04 gigahertz, and 4 efficiency cores at 2.42 gigahertz.
2 performance, 4 efficiency. Standard Apple setup lately.
Pretty much. It also has an integrated 6-core GPU for graphics and a 16-core neural processing unit, the NPU.
Ah, for all the AI stuff, how powerful is that NPU?
It's rated at 35 TOPS. That's trillions of operations per second, so quite capable for on-device AI tasks.
Okay, and the actual verified performance, what are the real GeekBench 6 numbers for the A18 Pro?
Based on lots of aggregated results from real phones out there, it averages approximately 3,451 in single-core tests.
3451, okay.
And around 8,572 in multi-core tests.
8572. So those are our solid baseline numbers for the current Pro chip.
Exactly. Those are the numbers to compare against.
And how does that A18 Pro compare to the chip before it, the A17 Pro? Does that fit the pattern you mentioned earlier?
It fits perfectly. Apple officially claimed the A18 Pro is up to 15% faster in CPU performance than the A17 Pro.
15%.
And the independent GeekBench data backs this up very closely. It shows roughly an 18% increase in both single-core and multi-core for the A18 Pro over the A17 Pro.
So pretty consistent numbers there.
Very consistent.
Sure.
Just to give you the numbers,
Sure.
the A17 Pro scores were around 2,892 single-core and 7,180 multi-core.
Right.
So the A18 Pro's 3,451 single is about a 19.3% jump, and its 8,572 multi is about a 19.4% increase.
So that 15-20% generational leap feels like Apple's standard operating procedure right now.
Absolutely. It really reflects Apple's, let's call it, mature design philosophy. They prioritize these sustainable, achievable gains within the tight constraints of a phone heat and battery power.
Right. It's not just about hitting a huge peak number for a benchmark run, is it? There's more to it, especially for phones.
Exactly.
We heard about the A18 Pro having a significant 20% power efficiency improvement over the A17 Pro. How does that actually help you, the listener, and what signal does that send about Apple's priorities?
That 20% efficiency gain is actually huge in the real world. It translates directly into better battery life.
Which everyone wants.
Always. And it also means the phone can sustain higher performance for longer without getting too hot and having to throttle back, meaning slow down.
Ah, avoiding that dreaded thermal throttling.
Precisely. So it reflects this clear shift, not just at Apple, but industry-wide, towards using specialized bits like the NPU and focusing on overall system efficiency. Apple isn't just chasing peak benchmark scores. They're optimizing for that smooth, reliable, everyday experience.
Okay, that makes sense. Now, to really hammer home why those initial A19 Pro rumors were so wild, we need to bring in the big guns, Apple's M4 chip.
Right, the desktop and Pro tablet benchmark.
The M4 series, found in the latest Macs and iPad Pros, it operates in a completely different league in terms of power and cooling, right?
Completely different. They have much higher thermal envelopes that can handle more heat, and they draw more power. This fundamental difference lets them achieve substantially higher sustained performance compared to an A-series chip in a phone.
So how did the M4's actual verified GeekBench numbers show this difference?
The numbers really paint the picture. The base M4 chip, the one with a 10-core CPU, scores around 3,864 in single-core.
3864 single.
And about 15,288 in multi-core.
15288 multi. Okay, that's the base M4.
Then you move up to the M4 Pro, that has a 14-core CPU. It gets roughly 3,925 to 3,955 single-core. It's a bit higher. But the multi-core jumps significantly to between 22,669 and 22,762.
Wow. Okay, big jump there. Over 22,000.
And then there's the top dog, the M4 Max, with the 16-core CPU. That hits around 4,060 in single-core.
4,060.
And a massive 26,675 in multi-core. And that M4 Max was actually the first production chip to break 4,000 points in GeekBench 6 single-core.
Okay, impressive numbers across the board for the M4 family. So let's do that direct comparison now. The fake A19 Pro rumor versus the actual M4 series.
Right.
The fake A19 Pro single-core score was 4,783. That numerically higher than even the M4 Max's 4,060.
It is, numerically.
But here's the kicker, right? You said this is highly improbable feat for mobile phone chip. Why is that number, even though it's higher, basically just misleading?
It's misleading because of those fundamental constraints in a phone. Thermal limits, battery power limits. Achieving that kind of sustained single-core speed in a slim phone without it overheating or draining the battery in minutes is just, well, unrealistic with current tech.
It would melt, basically.
Or throttle instantly. And more critically, look at the multi-core scores. The fake A19 Pro multi-core was 15,324. That's significantly lower than both the M4 Pro, which is over 22,000, and the M4 Max, which is over 26,000.
Okay, so it doesn't even beat the Pro or Max versions.
Exactly. It's only marginally higher than the base 10-core M4's 15,288. So that broad claim that the A19 Pro would trounce the M4 family, it's completely disingenuous. It ignores the much more powerful chips in that same M4 lineup.
So it cherry-picked one comparison and ignored the others. And fundamentally, it sounds like these are just different beasts, the A series and M series. Apple designs them differently on purpose.
Precisely. It's a fundamental design distinction. M series chips are engineered to draw more power, dissipate more heat. They can have more performance cores, run them faster for longer. That's what you need for Pro apps on a Mac or iPad Pro. An A series chip. It has to live within the tight confines of a phone. Small battery, limited cooling. It simply cannot match M-series sustained performance without huge compromises. It makes those fake A19 Pro claims physically impossible in a real phone.
So it shows Apple has this deliberate strategy, segmenting performance between mobile A-series and their desktop or Pro Mobile M-series lines.
Absolutely. They're designed for different jobs, different environments.
Okay, so we've thoroughly debunked those wild 80% claims. Let's get back to reality. What are the realistic expectations for the A19 Pro? Based on more credible leaks and Apple's track record?
What we're hearing from more reliable sources and what fits Apple's pattern points to a more modest but still very respectable improvement. Probably around an 18% gain over the A18 Pro.
18%. That sounds much more in line with that 15-20% we saw from A17 to A18.
Exactly. So realistic GeekBench 6 scores. We're likely looking at single core just over 4,000 points, maybe around 4,012.
Okay, breaking the 4K barrier, potentially.
Potentially, yeah. And multi-core more than 10,000 points, perhaps landing somewhere around 10,030.
So around 4,000 single, 10,000 multi, that feels much more grounded.
Much more grounded.
Yeah.
And while that A19 Pro single-core score might surpass the base M4 single-core, which is around 3,600, it's unlikely to consistently beat the M4 Max's 4,060 single-core score. And it absolutely won't touch the multi-core performance of the M4 Pro or M4 Max.
Still a clear gap there, especially in multi-core.
Definitely. And this is where Apple's strategic focus comes back in. It's all about power, performance, and area PPA optimization.
PPA power performance area.
Reports strongly suggest the A19 and A19 Pro chips will prioritize efficiency this year instead of raw peak performance.
Efficiency gap.
Which means the gains we see will likely come alongside better power consumption, better sustained performance, not just hitting a slightly higher peak number that causes the chip to heat up and throttle down anyway.
So the strategic choice, it's not just about numbers, is it? It feels like it reflects where the whole mobile chip world is going.
I think so.
Like maybe a decade ago, every little speed bump was a huge headline. But now users really care about the phone lasting all day, feeling smooth all the time.
Exactly. Apple's own data probably shows that huge peak speed boosts have diminishing returns for how you actually experience the phone day to day.
Right. But improved efficiency. That impacts every single thing you do all day long. It's less about winning a quick drag race and more about being that reliable runner that finishes the marathon strongly.
Well put. What about the manufacturing process for the A19 Pro? Any upgrades there?
Yeah, it's expected to be built on TSMC's third generation 3nm process, which is called N3P.
N3P, okay, so an iteration on the A18 Pro's N3E.
Right. This upgraded process should bring, again, modest efficiency and speed improvements, and likely a higher density of transistors, meaning they can pack even more onto the chip.
And to help manage the heat from these powerful chips, are there other improvements expected in the iPhone 17 Pro itself?
Yes, rumors point towards the iPhone 17 Pro models getting vapor chamber cooling technology.
Vapor chamber, like in gaming laptops.
Sort of, yeah. It's a more advanced way to spread heat out quickly and efficiently. This should help the A19 Pro maintain its performance longer during really demanding tasks like gaming or video editing.
That makes sense. Any other hardware bumps tied to the chip? We're also expecting a jump to 12 GB of RAM in the iPhone 17 Pro models.
Up from 8 GB in the 16 Pro.
Correct. That extra RAM should make a noticeable difference in multitasking, keeping more apps open in the background, and just overall system responsiveness for you.
Nice. Now, even with this focus on efficiency, Apple isn't operating in a vacuum. How does the A19 Pro stack up against the competition we expect from the Android side?
Yeah, the competition is fierce. We'll see high-end chips like probably the Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 2 or whatever Qualcomm calls it, and MediaTek's next Dimensity flagship, maybe the 9500.
So still a tough market.
Absolutely. But Apple often maintains an edge because of its higher instructions per cycle, or IPC.
IPC, explain that simply.
Basically, it means Apple's CPU cores can often get more work done per clock tick per cycle of the processor compared to competitors. So even if clock speeds or core counts look similar on paper, Apple's chip might feel faster or more efficient in real-world use because each tick is more productive.
Working smarter, not just harder, per clock cycle.
Kind of, yeah. It's a key part of their architectural advantage.
And this all ties back to that broader industry trend you mentioned, right? The shift away from just peak numbers.
Exactly. The whole industry, including Apple, seems to be moving focus from pure peak performance bragging rights towards sustained performance and power efficiency for mobile.
Which, for you, the end user, probably means a better actual experience day to day.
Definitely. A smoother, more consistent phone with longer battery life that's often more valuable than a benchmark score you'll never actually hit in normal use.
Okay, so let's wrap this deep dive up. We've pretty unequivocally confirmed those claims of an 80% A19 Pro improvement and trouncing the M4, completely baseless, fabricated.
Utterly. That iOS 27 reference was the smoking gun, wasn't it?
It really was. Plus, that kind of leap just doesn't fit Apple's history of steady, incremental gains. And the M4 comparison was flawed. Yeah, the fake single-core was higher, but highly unlikely in a phone, and the multi-core was way behind the M4 Pro and Max.
It highlights those crucial A-series versus M-series design differences. Different goals, different power budgets.
So the realistic picture for the A19 Pro, it looks like a solid but more modest, maybe 18% performance bump over the A18 Pro.
Right, with a very clear focus on that PPA optimization, better efficiency, better sustained performance, maybe slightly higher transistor density from the N3P process.
Reflecting that broader market shift where battery life and consistent smoothness matter just as much, if not more, than hitting some peak number.
Exactly.
Which leaves us with a final thought for you, the listener. In this world just packed with tech rumors, sensational headlines, how do we all get better at spotting the fakes? How do we boost our media literacy and critical thinking?
That's a great question. It requires a healthy dose of skepticism, especially with unbelievable numbers.
And maybe asking yourself, are those jaw-dropping peak benchmark scores truly what makes a device great for your daily use? Or is it that consistent, reliable performance and the battery lasting through the day that really matters more?
Something definitely worth mulling over next time you see one of those too good to be true tech headlines.